Oh, hello, and Happy New Year wherever you are. I am just going to let a few more people come in and then I'll invite Hania in. Okay, let me know where you're based and how is January going so far. I hope it's going to be a blissful year for everyone. Also, good morning to Europe. It's afternoon here. Hi! Hi, Hani. Okay. I am going to invite our guest in, who I'm super excited about today. I will do a bigger introduction in a second. To speak to Hani, and we'll just invited her in.
Hello.
Hi, Hani.
You're looking out my window right now. There we go.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. Good. How are you guys?
Good, yeah. So you're in Hong Kong right now,
Yeah,
yeah?
that's right.
Nice. Okay, so now we have a few more people in. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to another IG Live chat. If you're new to this channel, then I'm Nicole, a communication specialist and currently based in Bali as a digital nomad. So each month we sit down with successful digital nomads who are living their best life and teaching you guys how to do the same, and I hope this inspires you. One of the things I really love about this is I get to pick who I talk to every month, and I always choose someone who I'm personally inspired by, and I really hope that everyone else has some really good takeaways as well, and I think definitely you will today. So part of making that journey more comfortable is, of course, looking after our neck health and back health, and we do that with our neck stand, laptop stands. So very quickly, don't forget, when you do buy a neck stand, laptop stand, any of them, you're also donating to Turin Trust, who are helping disadvantaged children gain more access to digital learning. So yeah, you can find that in our bio. And without further ado, let me introduce someone I'm super excited to speak to today, Hani Cheng. She's an acclaimed best-selling author of 3 books. She's helped thousands of people all over the world in one-to-one coaching and in group sessions. She's an acclaimed business coach. She's worked with massive corporations like Lululemon and IBM, and she's also taught at some leading universities in the US as well. So there's so much more I can say, but hi, Hani.
Hello, guys.
Hi, and I just waved
So
at
happy to
everyone.
see everyone here.
Yeah, there's so many. Welcome, everyone. While we're chatting, let us know what your New Year's resolutions are. So let's jump straight into it. Where did this all, going like right back to the beginning, where did your journey start and what inspired you to take this more colorful career path?
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, so my journey started super early, like in 2008 when I was started to awaken into something. Well, first of all, it started with a health issue. I had like a 15-year disease where I was throwing up 10 times a day, where no doctors could figure out what was happening. And it went all the way through to work times. And so even after college and working, and so I'd be finding myself going through these amazing gigs and amazing career path in corporate, and I would still be battling this body reaction that it was happening. And so it started sort of at that moment where I realized that, hey, what is this thing that keeps coming back and how do I heal it? Because clearly the medical professions didn't know what to do. And so I took that into my own hands. And so in the process of taking that into my whole hands, I got to learn so much about neurobiology, psychosomatic healing, alternative healing methods, because medicines and regular traditional forms of healing did not work, and got exposed to this huge variety of ways ways to tackle our behaviors and to really change our entire body chemistry through changing our minds and our perspectives. It took me all over the world. It took me into getting coaching certifications, learning about neurolinguistics. It took me in all these major different places, including shamanic rituals. And this was like in 2015 and 14 where I was doing this. So at that time, nobody knew like what all this stuff was. And I literally had to find it in the depths of a forum to see how to explore these alternative ways. So that's where it began. And then in terms of career path, I just like once I found out like that, I remember like in the middle of this experience, I asked myself this question, like, am I ready to let this disease go? One of the healing retreats, and that I self-facilitated because by that time I had gotten to my ability to run myself through ceremonies and healing processes. And deep within me, before I could even finish the question in my head, a voice came through me and it overtook my body. And am I ready to let this disease go? I had been working so hard, so long on it, and it said yes. And my entire body shook because this resonating yes, I didn't control that voice. Something within me spoke through me. And it was without a shadow of a doubt that I knew everything had to change. And that, it was either my health or it was, um, yeah, so there, or no health, right? And so I was like, all right, well, then it showed me that it wanted everything to happen because it wanted me to learn, take these 15 years to learn about all these healing modalities. And then at the same time, because I was so ambitious and I like graduated with like politics, economics, biology, and then did like innovations. Like I just had all these ambitions, and so it was like combining the corporate ambitious like systematic mind with like all the sciences with the woo-woo healing, energetic spirituality, like quantum world, and then putting those together to create this inspirational um, course that was basically what happened in the book. Or so I taught the course a bunch of times, and then the book came out, and it was just like learn how to share this message with the world. And because of my background growing up like in different countries, I realized that I wanted to continue exposing myself to multiple cultures, multiple places, and multiple ways of experiencing life, so that transformation is multicultural and is applicable to anyone, and doesn't have those barriers of language or certain mindset. Yeah, so that's a very
Yeah.
long answer to yours.
No, it's brilliant.
And then of course we threw in so many other things, right? So then that changed into like at the beginning it was a very much like a mindset change. And then I realized mindset change didn't help people take different actions. And so I was like, okay, well, if I keep breaking through and helping people break through people's minds, then how, but they keep falling back. Yeah, we like have something we're going to share with you later about self-sabotage. But people will not change even if they know it. So I was like, okay, how are we going to change people's habits? So then for years I was like, okay, how can we do this in such a way that even if people know about what it is and why it is and how their traumas created it, like how are we going to change their actions? And so that's when I realized that there's so many ways to do it, and the energy was to get to the root of a problem. The problem is not in the mind. And so we had to go to the root of that. And so I worked on with these like crazy like quantum machines and went on these like I had to research and was at the conference and met up with these people who were really into it, and shared a lot about how we can find the root causes of our issues on a level that is so upstream that before it turns into a thought. And so when we removed things on a level that is beyond um, tangibility, beyond concrete, more in the abstract and still within our identity, then that was much easier to shift behavior, because behavior is a solidly formed, rigid construct of belief. And so when we worked on that, then things started shifting, and I was like, cool, this is awesome. Like we're gonna do energy work. And then so for years I was like doing energy work for like leaders and like helping them break through their like professions and help them achieve the goals that they had in their lives. And then suddenly I realized everyone's like, oh, like flying through, or like there are things that they still couldn't achieve further. And all this energy was running through people. And I was like, we need to ground this energy. And so I was like, we're doing all these energy breakthroughs, but then what people desired was so vast and so expansive, and we connected them to like infinite possibilities. And there's the speed at which transformation was happening was so fast that I was like, okay, like people's minds keep getting blown. How do we bring these into action again? Because like they keep changing things and like small things are happening, but then when their worldview shifts, like everything that they want to do starts shifting too. And then that's when I realized that, okay, we needed to embodiment and sexuality was a really strong way of how our body experiences energy. And then that translated and created more grounding for all the work that we did. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I really want to get into the sexuality part as well, in a bit, because that was one thing that really, when we spoke about it yesterday,
Yeah.
it definitely like interested me a lot. That like the connection between that and leadership and self empowerment. But first of all, for anyone that doesn't know the term, what does somatic healing mean? Because I hear it a
Oh, yeah.
lot. Yeah, so like, how do you describe
It means
somatic healing?
different things to different people and different practitioners, and so there's a
Mm-hmm.
wide variety of interpretation of it. But specifically, it just means anything to do with the body, like healing the body. And when you're talking about emotional or somatic, um, psychosomatic phenomenons, it's basically like when you feel a certain emotion, or when you feel, let's say, stuck in a certain way or triggered. Not only are you triggered mentally, you're also triggered. That trigger also manifests physically. For example, if someone says something to you and it's really rude and it's really insulting, that feeling and that triggers your response of like, what the fuck? Or I don't know what sorry, like
Yeah, no, you get
WTF,
like
or
anxiety. Yeah, like you get
okay,
I get
or you have a,
anxiety.
what's that?
I get like an anxiety. Like if someone is like rude to me, or like I'm like in a confrontational situation, my whole body feels like shaky, like anxiety. So yeah.
Exactly. So that when you
Mm-hmm.
do feel that, then it's just like your whole body is reacting too. And so somatic is just that experience. So when you're
Got it.
experiencing your emotions physically, and
Mm-hmm.
everything else, because sometimes it's also beyond emotion.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then when it comes to quantum, so then the quantum part of it, what is the quantum healing?
Quantum is just, so there's a lot of definitions around that too. So Joe Dispenza uses quantum healing to heal people from a space of what he calls the void, and being in that space of meditative trance state. Quantum, from a like physics standpoint, there's like mathematical quantum physics that you can have formulas for to calculate a place where the laws of Newtonic science don't apply. And so it's really, 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 really small particle or waves, and wave and particle like interchangeable behavior patterns. And and then the way that you can do it also from a more esoteric perspective, it's a place where you can experience the energetic field of a situation. So when you're talking about healing, especially like when you're, let's say, in a posture, right? And you have a back pain or a neck pain, and you're like, what is happening on the quantum field? Like on the physical field, you feel soreness, maybe like small muscles are being contracted and there's more pressure on one side over the other. On a mental, emotional level, you might be feeling stressed because you're typing an email that has like really intense information on it. And on an energetic level, there might be something that is you're feeling extra stress because this has happened in the past, so in an emotional space. But then on a quantum level, it might be like these pieces of stresses are hung together, um, on this minute level that is almost like, like threads that connect to this larger energetic field that then is a part of your energetic body. So quantum is
Okay.
just like
Got it. Okay.
the size of the energy.
Oh, cool. Oh, gosh, almost accident. Hi. Okay, cool. So like in terms of posture then, um, what is, okay, so it works the other way. So you have emotional pain, which then affects physical pain. Can it work the other way around where you have, say, like neck pain, and then how does that affect the rest of your mentality, and sort of how can that affect motivation at work, and how can it work the other way as well?
Yeah, sure. So, anytime we have any pain in our body, it is basically a sign of a um, there's two perspectives, right? One perspective is you can have mind over body and you don't care about that pain. The other perspective is that pain needs attention. And so we need to really discern between like whether that pain is a distraction or it's an actual pain. And so when you realize that it is a distraction, then it might be you don't need to address it as or the way to address that is a different methodology than the way to address a real pain. So a real pain would be something that um, your question is sort of how it links to emotional. So a real pain, let's say, is a chronic pain that has come through a lot. And the way that you would look at it is you would ask it questions from an uh, from different way. Anyway, so there's so many things I can share about that. But yes, like what ends up happening is that different emotional pains is stored differently in the body. And so when there's a physical pain, you can question it. And when you question it, then you realize where it leads to. And when you follow that, you're able to see what else you can release. It basically means something is stuck in your body. Whether you need to stretch it out physically or you need to resolve what's underneath it from an emotional standpoint, or you want to resolve it on an energetic standpoint. So you just look at it on different levels and you just take care of it.
Oh, that's fascinating because yeah, so like I always have kind of a little bit of ache between like in my upper shoulder blades, and I'm like constant because I work out a lot at the moment, and I'm also working a lot at the moment, and I'm constantly like trying to roll it out and do acupuncture and stuff like that, but I feel like I never hit the spot. There's like a little spot that I'm like it's just not hitting. So do you feel like that could also be like an emotional, like something underlying, like emotionally, instead of just physically?
That's a really good question. I love that you're giving me concrete questions. So, yeah, so you can ask, so there's a couple of things, right? You can either go upstream and you can look at, okay, like this body, like when this pain is shining or pulsing or being something upstream triggered it for it to do that, right? So sometimes, so then it's like you notice like what are your circumstances when that actually happens. So you can
Okay.
see, okay, maybe every month, like during this time, or when I have this specific emotion, this gets triggered. So that's totally possible for an emotional pain to, or an emotion to trigger that pain. Um, and then because when you know that, it's really cool because then you know there's a railroad track and that there's like a little ladder of like reactions that happen so you can go up and up and up and then you can take out and reroute the synaptic systems from your neurology, your emotions, and then your body systems and behavior so that you can rewire it so that you can catch the stress earlier on so that it doesn't manifest into that pain. Um, yeah, oftentimes, if it's if it's an emotional pain, it's easy to isolate if you just change your physical behavior. And if you change his physical behavior to protect it or to not let it be sore and it still occurs, then it's like, okay, well then what else is going on?
Yeah, yeah, because there's that study, like it's like a really well-known study of about back posture, and like when people are hunched over, it completely affects how they view themselves in like a negative way. Whereas when people have their shoulders back and they're like more up, they have like more of a positive, like confident outlook as well. So like when you're working with clients, what kind of techniques do you use to kind of get to the root of these issues?
Yeah, good question. So we tune into, I mean, we tune into many different ways. We have methodologies where we look at, okay, like what is the root? cause of your thing. What is it that you actually want in your life? So a lot of the transformational work that I do is about, okay, do you want more love in your life? Do you want more power in your life? A lot of it is around empowerment right now. And so some of the techniques that we use is we first get people really, really clear about what it is that they actually want in all areas: money, health, relationships. And overarching spiritual connection, and then what is actually blocking them. So whether that's physical, emotional, spiritual, like on every level, like what's blocking them, and then we remove them. So the techniques to remove them is a system that we've done for over like 800 times with groups of like 5 to hundreds of people. And it's a system that includes both energy transformation, mindset transformation, physical transformation, because I'm also a dancer, and then actions. So putting out new actions into the world and seeing the feedback. And then at the end, it's all about taking that feedback loop and then having them connected to their intuition and their bodies and their world so that they're getting these insights and they're working with both their energetic field and their emotional field and their physical world so that all of the pieces are moving together fully. So the methodology is really a comprehensive, like holistic way of engaging with your intelligence on a physical, emotional, energetic, and intellectual level.
Nice. Yeah, I like the part about being specific because
Super
I saw,
specific.
yeah, because I saw on your Instagram actually recently about your word for 2023, your guiding word was aligned love. And that's like very specific. And so, what is your word for 2024, and why is it important for people to have these specific guiding principles?
Sure. So my word at the moment is still evolving. So I don't know if this is 100% what it is, but but at the moment, I'm very drawn to the concept of empowerment. And empowerment to me means full expression physically, emotionally, energetically, on all the levels. And so that means the ability to be clear and authentic and understand what is true. And and then having also the freedom to choose who I am in each moment so I can direct and be conscious and aware of like every word, every vibe that I'm sharing with someone, or or every second of my breathing, like how I want to hold my body. So when I'm hunched, well, that's not empowering. So,
Yeah.
this feels more empowering. So it's like choosing empowerment in every moment. So yeah. So the word is empowerment. And my one of my friends and head coaches suggested it to be honey empowerment because it's a very unique flavor of it. So it's also alignment, right? Because then it's like 100% aligned empowerment that is a definition specifically for this being here.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, definitely.
and that's why it's specific. It's important to be specific because alignment, 100% alignment last year was my word. And so when I was making decisions in which countries to fly to, who to be spending time with, I'm looking at, okay, is this aligned on, does my body feel good about this? Does my mind feel good about this? Is this in alignment with my goals I set in the beginning of the year? And is this a experience that is going to grow in aliveness? It's because everything is about aliveness. You one of the whys that I do everything that I do is to create more aliveness and more intimacy with life itself.
Yeah, I think that's also like one of the reasons why so many people kind of take on this more travel-y lifestyle as well, because they want to feel like more alive. They want like more aliveness in their life as well. And so yeah, so anyone in the comments, let us know what your word will be for 2024. Out some ideas. And so in relation to that then, because you said about your very unique approach to empowerment, that involves sexuality. So like I'm like super fascinated by this one. So tell me, how does sexuality link to leadership and empowerment, and why is it so important for us to kind of channel into that?
Yeah. So sexuality is a really big topic. There has a lot of taboos around it and a lot of potential judgment and shame around it. And so because of that, that it is an incredibly powerful tool for each person to get in touch with it. Leadership and business, and when I work with corporate leaders, the biggest thing that is important in their leadership is actually their connection to their team and the communication in their team, because they don't operate as a single unit. The power of and the success of them is built together by everybody who's supporting each other, right? And so it's a collective success. And so when you build trust and intimacy, or professional intimacy and relationship with your team, that strength and stronger trust creates healthier team relationships. And so sexuality is a place where vulnerability, trust, and intimacy exists. And it requires us to really look into authentically who we are, face our fears, face our emotions, specifically shame and pain, and places we don't want to look at, for a transformational experience, so that we can heal these wounds and then be authentically open to be able to form bonds that allow for energy to move through. And when we look at the base and like what is sexuality on an energetic level, it is purely a creative energy. It's an energy of positivity, of love, of experiencing closeness, for some people. So that's the experience we're holding. And so when people are liberated in a way that they feel close with their bodies, they feel no shame with their desire and pleasure and energy that is created within themselves, they're able to light it up and channel that into like a positive attitude that then creates a very positive inspiration for everyone around them. And this, of course, is held with a lot of consent, and it doesn't need to, as in like, it is, it's like, it's just like breath. So the way that you're able to share that is by just having an incredibly amazing presence that is uniquely you.
Yeah, I think there's like so many taboos around sexuality, and I'm on the same understanding as you. It's like sexuality doesn't it's not it doesn't necessarily, I think it has like different meanings for different people, and like for me it has like a very holistic meaning, I think. Like I watched like a TED talk a very long time ago, years ago, on seduction and how you can use seduction every single day in your life, and it's not in like a seedy, inappropriate way. It's in just an like in within you. It's a confidence. And so yeah, I get that 100%. And so then switching it up, I saw that you did an amazing video on giving people really good advice on how to be a good partner. And I just wanted, for anyone who hasn't seen that video, definitely go into Hani's YouTube channel. But if you haven't seen that video, I just want to, what makes a really good partner for 2024? How can people be a better partner?
Better partnership always comes from yourself. So yeah, so better partner. I don't even know which video you're talking about, but like I'm sure there I'm sure
There's a
there is
lot.
one on on YouTube. But the top three things for better partnership is, first, just knowing yourself and knowing what areas of love, like, are you willing to, like, what type of partnership you're looking for, right? Understanding, yesterday I was doing a audits around intentional relationships, and there's many categories of what where our needs are and our fulfillment level, and whether or not we're open, closed, or seeking in the areas of intimacy, affection, love, um, partnership, mating, sex. There's a lot of categories. So understanding each of those categories and what you are available for with this person, or
Mm-hmm.
even or business partner or whatever, like, you need to know like what categories and what relationship you're looking to relate in each category with the specific person. So clarity, number one, always start with clarity in all of my systems. And then second one, what is blocking you from that? So why are there any self-sabotaging behaviors, which is basically just behaviors that prevent you from getting what you want. So are there anything like that? Is there any past traumas? Like just getting rid of anything that may hinder you from fully accepting the true possibility of experiencing what you want now. And
Yeah.
so that's two. And then the third one is to not be afraid to communicate it. So having your partner also go through the exercise, or having your partner and expressing yourself, for example, in the area of sexuality, like how are we doing in that area? What would you like more of? What would you, where are the exploration places? Where do you feel the most intimate? Are there vulnerable pieces? Are there blocks in places where you feel afraid of going deeper, right? So that's from sexuality. Maybe it's an emotional intimacy. Does he feel tough in explaining his emotions, right? And so there's like, or like, are there barriers of feeling emotional intimacy, and what might they be, and how can we work together as a team to address those? So those are communication ones, and those are just like random ideas. That could add to it. So yeah, so top three: clarity, remove clarity of what you want, identify blocks, remove them, and then communicate them so that you can really create everything holistically, intentionally, and specifically.
Yeah, do you work with like the love languages as well? Because I
Yeah.
found like that. Yeah, because I found like that's like really good for communication when you understand. Like it definitely like changed how I view things when I learned to understand how other people communicate and that other people don't communicate the way I communicate. I could then like change my actions so that I was then showing like them how they're appreciated, how they communicate, if that makes sense. So like mine's like definitely words of affirmation. So like even in like the workplace, like compliments work so well for me. But I know for like other people, other things work much better. And so like it's like translating, like even though it's the love languages for relationships, it actually does translate in the corporate world, I think, as well. And
Yeah.
yeah. And so when you're working with people, do you find when it comes to communication, just completely stereotype, do you find it's men or women that can do this easier?
I think it really depends.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that men, there's completely stereotyping, but let's just say, okay, let's just say I don't know if it's men or women, but there's so many different ways of communication. There's direct and short communication, so it gets to the point, you're fired, or I don't like this. That directly to the point. And then there's also more emotionally intelligent communication, right? So that takes care and that is aware of the emotional landscape. And so I find that like if we are someone who prefers to communicate in a more poetic or a more let's say like a double landscape, like have the message and take care of the emotions, that's like double kind of way of communicating, then it's important to understand that when someone's communicating directly, it's not to hurt. It's just simply that they're just more factual communicators, like short, concise facts. And so there's no reason to get hurt. And then so you can also change that way of communicating into that. So those are like bullet points, like 3 steps, like, just really left brain communication versus right brain. So it's just like the various forms. Men and women, I don't really see much of it. It's really difficult to say where they lie because it just depends on their own level of empathy.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. So yeah, empathy has a huge amount to do with communication. Then, if you can, yeah, if
Yeah,
you
like if you're aware of the emotional landscape versus the whether you're just like get things done straight to the point, and you're not really like emotional landscape is not like it's not an information input, or the data doesn't come the data is like separate from the what
yeah,
needs to get done.
Because there's often, I feel like there's often, I don't know how you find with leaders that you've worked with, but I find sometimes, well, there's certain people who are very direct and they just like,
Hmm.
you know, one sentence communication, and then there's other people who need sort of like paragraphs in Slack and like I'm talking about the online world. You know, needs
Yes.
a lot more detail and a lot more. And I find that when those two people kind of come together, there's like a little bit of friction in understanding how the other person communicates. And so I guess that when you're working with business leaders, do you kind of work on these things as well, like working on empathy to kind of understand how other people communicate and able to then bring the team like together?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For people who are more short, like we work on just having them be more aware of like what other ways could be more effective at communicating with someone maybe who isn't able to or who could respond better to more detail, for example, or more guidance.
Mm-hmm.
And then for someone who is more verbose or not like or more descriptive,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's about having them like summarize their thoughts like at the end, so that it's clear for someone who just, you know, is scrolling through millions of messages and just needs the outline of
Yeah.
the content.
I've started to do
So
this so much more now because I'm definitely someone who writes paragraphs. So because I'm like, so I want things to be super detailed. So I'm like, da, 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 da. And then now I've learned that like when I'm talking to people who are more direct, I need to just at the end like be like, or when I'm on a Zoom call or something, I just at the end be like, so in summary, these are the points.
yeah. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
just different processing capabilities. Some people like to process out loud as well, so it's stream of consciousness processing. And some people are like, when it comes out of the mouth, everything's already finished. It's just like, here, yes,
Yeah.
or no.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
And
just different processing systems, right? And like a computer. So it's just different. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And so,
And
yeah,
so
of course, when you have everyone with a different communication style in a team, it's very challenging. And so, what's the question I always ask the leaders is like, you know, what is the most effective way? Like, who are on the team? Like, let's look at all the communication style and what is the most effective and most time efficient way to make sure we deliver this, that you communicate in a way that there's the least amount of um, like the most amount of potential for success in
friction,
this particular,
yeah.
yeah, and least amount of friction, just least amount of like they have to go back and have another conversation.
Yeah, even like yeah, like misunderstandings and yeah, there's a lot that
Hmm.
gets lost in translation. I think definitely. And then so taking it back to looking forward to 2024, I know that like so I know self-sabotage the term in general is quite has given a lot of there's been people more aware of it I think now. It's
Hmm.
definitely something that I recognize more. So, what kind of key bits of advice would you give to someone to kind of stop them from self-sabotage, kind of recognize it, to recognize when they're doing it and to stop doing it, sort of thing? Is there any advice that you would give?
Okay, I'm gonna try and charge my phone at the same
Oh
time
yeah,
as
that's
I
fine.
as I'm talking to you. Self-sabotage. Okay. Key advice, or do you say key advice?
um, yeah, key advice for someone. How can you recognize when you're doing it, when you're self-sabotaging, and then
Um,
stop it?
just notice your body. We're talking about somatic healing earlier, right? The easiest way to notice is if you have tension in your body. There's never a need for you to have tension in your body, and pain is a very like strong form of tension, right? And so even if you're talking to somebody, when you notice that the conversation is creating more tension in your body already, or if you're thinking about something and that's creating tension, then immediately stop and just be like, so we have a three-step process that we teach, which is basically, um, well, I was gonna be like, should we describe a little bit more about when these self-sabotaging behaviors happen? So, for example, okay, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about when these self-sabotaging behaviors potentially happen, and then I'll go into the three-step process.
Okay.
So, the the self-sabotaging behavior can happen when in in, for example, common situations are like love and commitment, right? Um, like when you are faced with the goal, like let's say you have a goal of committing to a certain person, certain love, certain money goal, or certain health goal, or certain physical health goal, or like a body goal, and you are finding yourself self-sabotaging yourself because you're not actually doing what you want to be doing to stay in the love relationship, open up your heart more. From a money situation, it's like you're not doing the work that is required to create the productivity that leads to, the actions that will lead to the income that you're wanting, and you're procrastinating. That's a self-sabotaging. And then for the health goal, it's like you want to lose weight but you're not exercising, right? That's self-sabotaging. So all of these potential places in which that's happening, you can notice the moment it starts happening. So maybe like you're standing up walking to the kitchen to get a jalapeno popper that is deep fried, and and you're wanting to actually not eat so many fried food because it creates like unhealthy fats, and you're like breaking out in pimples or whatever reason. And what you can notice is that the moment that thought even comes into your head, we have a three-step process, which is recognize that there's a thought that came in. Oh, there's a thought that came in that says, go to the kitchen, grab a piece of food, and then so recognize that thought, and then you take a deep breath, and you're like, is this a program thought? Because we do energetic work, right? So a lot of this is a program, or is it a true need for sustenance? Or is this
Yeah.
just
Do I really
like,
want this?
is this something that I really, really, really want? And I really am not going to regret this.
Yeah.
And then what is it that I really want? Maybe I want like a hug or maybe whatever. So just like recognize like, okay, intercept that thought and then start questioning. The moment you intercept the thought, you're already waking up. And then you wake up and you're like, okay, like I feel like you feel like this, like I really need to, but I need to breathe. I'm not stop
Yeah.
myself right now. There's a program, there's an automatic, like someone brainwashed me, and I'm trying to like walk and continue this program. And they're like, no, 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 I'm staying here, and I'm gonna question this thought. And then just breathe with it and like give yourself the comfort and assurance, because maybe it's an emotional eating thing. Maybe something just really stressed you out, or you're really trying to procrastinate or whatever. And then and then you decide to choose differently. You can choose like, well, you know what? I realize that I don't actually want that. And actually what I really need is assurance that I'm okay, and that I can actually go back and do the action that I was doing. It was a distraction. Or you can be like, well, actually, I do want to reward myself with some food. Maybe I don't need it right this second. Maybe I can have it later. Maybe something like that. So you can choose differently. So the three steps is recognize when it's actually happening. Like even if like someone is like trying to connect with you, like let's say in a love situation, they're looking into your eyes, and your self-sabotaging behavior is to look away because you feel so uncomfortable with the intimacy, and you're just like, oh my God, like this is way too much. And realizing that that's a pattern behavior that your body automatically does without you choosing to do that. And then so take a deep breath and then choose differently. So that's how
Yeah.
you break automatic patterns of self-brainwash.
Oh, cool. Okay, I hope everyone was listening to that. Let us know in the comments below if you have any sabotaging behaviors that you want to quit for 2024. And so, finishing up a little bit, what exciting projects do you have coming up? What are you working on? Any more books?
Oh, so many. Yeah, so I run like transformational retreats. So we go through a lot of these transformational processes where we take people through like hours of journeys where we clear out hundreds and hundreds of these blocks on in a very short amount of time. So we're doing that in all over the US online, and also we've been in talks about hosting one in Croatia, women empowerment. So there's a lot of projects and retreats, personal and group retreats that are happening. That's going to be
Nice.
super amazing.
How can people
Um,
find out about this? How can they find it?
just go to my website or follow me on Insta and then DM or go to yoloabundance.com. We also have YouTube channel. And get on my email list for sure because that's where I'll send out. Yeah, our team sends out all the information for that new book. So right now we're really, really excited about supercharging the power of awareness, which is what we talked about earlier, of awareness and consciousness in the moment consciousness, super practical, bite-sized consciousness pieces. And so I'm thinking of whenever there is space for that to really write a manual or a something around that to share with people how to connect wealth. We did a program on synchronistic wealth, how to create synchronicity, flow, wealth, and abundance, and sexuality and transformation all together. So I'm thinking about that.
Nice.
And I forgot what your third question was, but yeah,
Oh no,
those
no,
are the two things.
it's just exciting project. So yeah, so with the books, I know I went on your website and I know that there's a section on there where if someone visits it, they can get a free resource. I think it's still there.
Yes, yes, yes.
Ah, cool. Okay, so so what is that? How do they find it? And
Yeah, so basically, on what you'll get, there's like three pieces of resources. So you'll get I believe, you'll get, just like I don't know what the latest one is, but what you'll get is an energetic clearing. So we'll go through um, your energy field and support you in a meditation to clear out your energetic field. And so a lot of the things that we talked about today, a lot of it is through breath work, through concentration. There's a methodology that we do, so you can get that as an audio. The second thing you'll get is a poster, which is basically the outline of our best-selling book, You Only Live Once: Life and Business Innovation Style. And it has this beautiful way of seeing how your heart, and when you light up your energy of your heart, your authenticity, the least amount of energy that is required to align your ikigai, which is basically where your passion, your work, and your contribution and your wealth lies. And so that's a beautiful way of looking at how that trickles down. Actually, a common friend, maybe you might know that person, but anyway, someone in the community supported in designing that, so it was really beautiful.
oh, cool,
And then the
nice.
third thing that you'll get is a transition workbook, which is basically the 4-step process that we do for transformation, and then you'll get to fill out thought processes and things in your life that are blocking you. So the clarity, the change, the changing of it, and the action. And there's like lots of diagrams in you to fill out so that you can transform them if you're someone who likes to process through writing. So you get to have all three versions: visual, audio, audible, yeah, writing, and imagination.
Amazing.
So
I
all the
think that'd
learning
be really good
styles.
for I think that'd be so good for everyone who's watching and everyone who's going to watch after. I definitely go through it. I think it'll be really useful for 2024 because if there's one thing that I learned in 2023, it's that mindset is always usually the issue. It's not your ability, it's your mindset on your ability.
Yeah, it's like your perspective, and it's your perspective on it. And we have really, really, really fun, quick ways on how to shift our perspective, which is mostly everything, like what you
Yeah.
were saying. Everything is a
Okay.
perspective.
Those are true, yeah. Okay, so yeah, let's wrapping things up. Because I'm gonna get kicked out of this room actually in 7 minutes. Yeah, thank you so much, Hani, for coming on. There's so many takeaways, and we're gonna sum them up as well after in the comments. So yeah, so many takeaways. I'm so thankful that you've come on, and yeah, I hope you have a really nice day, and
Thank you.
Happy New Year. Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy 2024, guys. Yeah. So happy to
Yeah.
have you all here, and thank you for watching all the way till this point. Definitely grab a neck stand, protect your neck and your hips and your sacral, and your shoulders and your neck, because
Yeah.
it's a very useful item to travel with and even have around the house for
100%. You heard it from Hani. Just go do it. Go get one. We look after our bodies and our minds.
Yes. How do they get it? Just go on the website.
Yeah, on the website. Okay, so thank you so much, and we will speak later. And yes, thank you, and goodbye, everyone.
See ya.
Bye.